Morning. Morning. Welcome to First Unitarian Church of Orlando. I'm Sarah Gray, a member here of this congregation and the worship team here at 1U. With me in today's service are our Director of Music, Aubrey Connolly-Condelario, accompanist Danny Monzon-Villegas, and the members of the retired UU men's group, better known as RUUM. They are Charlie Behrens, Chip Dockery, Richard Green, Mike Haddad, John Hartgering, Bob Ledger, and Ken Lofgren. Reverend Margalit Belizaire will return to worship on August 25th. And let's not forget our teams of wonderful people in the background working diligently to ensure that we come together this morning. So thank you. Children will go to their summer fun activities when we sing them out after the time for all ages. The nursery is open until noon, and youth are invited to remain in the sanctuary for the worship service. We greet you this morning, old friends and new ones, as we explore our Unitarian Universalist faith, which draws us into a community of justice seekers with a commitment to lifelong spiritual growth and compassionate service to the community. As a Unitarian Universalist congregation, we are a non-creedal community that does not subscribe to a specific set of beliefs. We live by a covenant that encourages ethical behavior, affirms democracy, celebrates the worth of each individual, and unites us in a search for truth and meaning. Whether today is your first or your 1,000th Sunday in our midst, you are welcome here. Whoever you are, whoever you love, you are welcome here. In this community, your whole self is welcome. We welcome your race, national origin, immigration status, gender identity, sexual orientation, age, physical or mental abilities, economic status, or religious background. We welcome you. For more information about our congregation and announcements, go to orlandouu.org or email info@orlandouu.org. We have a couple of special announcements today. If you are interested in participating in worship but don't really have a lot of time or energy to commit to the task, the worship committee, which I am a part of, is excited to announce 2 new ways that you can engage in service at 1U. First, we are seeking worship attendants to do what I'm doing right now: read announcements, assist with the candle lighting, and engage with other scripted low-stakes tasks. It's really simple. Just sign up, preview the order of service and instructions in advance, and arrive early on your assigned date. You can contact me, Elizabeth Horn, or Neil Boris to learn more. A second one-time opportunity to help with worship is Sunday, August 18th from 12:30 to 2 p.m. Join us for what we're calling a worship hive mind, open to all. In this energizing, process-based discussion, we'll be reflecting on upcoming worship themes and brainstorming readings, music, and more. We'll convene in the assembly room after the potluck on Sunday, August 19th, and there will be childcare provided. All right, Aubrey Connolly-Condelario has a brief announcement concerning the Milk District Salon at 1U.
Good morning. I'm here to talk to you about the Milk District Salon concert series here at 1U. We, in the past 3 years, have done seasons where we sold tickets ahead of time or at the door. This year we have added season passes. Our goal was to sell 50 season passes, and I think as of this morning we were at 27 or 28, which is amazing. We normally have concert attendance between 1 and 250 people. So selling 50 really gives us the support we need. It financially gets us going and started. And it gives you a chance as community members to show your support for this community outreach activity that we are doing for the music department. If you would like your season pass, you can do the QR code, which is up on the board now, or any of the social media outlets that you find at 1U. Go to those and you will see a link to the season passes, which represent, by the way, a 10% savings on 5 tickets for this year. It's a great concert season. Please get your season pass.
All other announcements are on slides before and after the service and have links on our weekly update or on our website. If you'd like to follow along to the service, please use the QR code shown on the monitor and on the first few slides. Thanks again for being here in person and online today.
Please say these words with me as we light the chalice. In the light of truth and in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. You'll notice that our hymns this morning represent a different era in time. They're from Eleanor Gordon's time. The melody of this first one appeared in hymnals years before it became the beloved American anthem. Please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing Incarnation. The words will appear on the screen above.
Thy presence maketh one, as through transfigured clouds of white we trace the noonday sun. So to our mortal eyes subdued, flesh veiled but not concealed, we know in thee the and heart of God revealed, our friend, our brother, and our guide. What may thy service be? Nor name, nor form, nor ritual pride, but simply following thee, thy litany sweet offices of love and gratitude, thy sacramental liturgies, the joy of doing good. Amen.
Good morning. Our opening words are from an 1893 Eleanor Gordon sermon. It is not what you teach, not what you preach, not what you pretend to be that has an influence, but what you live, what you are. This fact forces upon us a fearful responsibility. It also confers divine possibilities. We may write that most difficult of all sermons, a noble, unselfish life. The most difficult, but the only one of much account, for words fade away and are forgotten, but the influence of an earnest life is for eternity. Come, let us worship together this morning. Now let's take a moment to greet each other.
It's for Bob.
And join me. Excellent. welcome to you all. You all look good today. So I'm going to talk for a few minutes about this woman, Eleanor Gordon. And why are we talking about her today? She was our first minister here at First Unitarian, and it was over 100 years ago. And so we're talking about her life and her views today. And what I want to talk to you a little bit about is some challenges she faced as a young girl and how she overcame those challenges. She really was a determined person who became an educator, a minister, and a leader in the community, and she had to work very hard to do this. So I want to look at a map first and point out where she lived. And so everyone knows we're down here in Florida, right? Eleanor was born up here in Illinois, in the middle of the country, and spent a lot of time in Iowa and Illinois as a younger person. So she's from about 1,200 miles away, and if you drove there, it would take about a day to drive there. All right, let's look at life, what life was like in those days. So Eleanor was born on a farm, and you'll notice in this picture horses and wagons. There were no cars, there were no cell phones, no computers, no TV. If you wanted to communicate with a friend, you wrote them a letter, and it took a few days. If you wanted to go long distances, you rode the train. That's how people got around long distances back then. And this is just a shot of her downtown area. And again, you see horses and a carriage. So a little bit about Eleanor, born on this farm. She had 5 siblings, so there were 6 kids total. And she was the oldest. And her mother was often sick, and her father, for a period of time, was in the military and was away. And so Eleanor, as the oldest, had a lot of responsibilities. She had to help cook food and make fires and take care of the younger siblings. So she was responsible at a very young age. Now, at this time, there weren't a lot of opportunities for women. Women were sort of expected to be in the home or possibly be a teacher, and they also didn't go to college much. But Eleanor wanted to do some things in her life, and she had 5 characteristics that helped her succeed. And so let me talk about those. The first thing she did from a very young age, she wrote this down in her writings. She dreamed about who she wanted to be and what kind of life she wanted. So maybe you all have dreams of a certain occupation or a certain job you want to do or where you want to live. Eleanor spent a lot of time thinking about that as a very young person, your age. The second thing she did is that she read. She read books. She had an uncle who would bring her a book occasionally. There was a magazine that her mother ordered for, and so she read everything she could read, and she loved to read under a tree out in the orchard. The third thing she is curious. Any of you curious? She was curious about everything. So when the adults were talking about religion or politics or any topic, she listened very closely and tried to learn what they were talking about. She also went to Sunday school or religious education, and she questioned everything she was learning there. Why this? Why that? Tell me more about this. So she had curiosity. The fourth trait she had is that she had some good friends. And one of those friends also became a minister. And they helped each other, they supported each other, and they dreamed with each other about what they might become. So having good friends was a very strong trait of hers. And lastly, she set some goals for herself. So She was a teacher for a while, but she was unhappy doing that, and she wanted more. She was able to go to college. She was able to become a minister, to write sermons, to be a speaker, and to be a leader in the community. So the story of Eleanor Gordon is the story of somebody who really thought about life, had some challenges, and overcame those challenges to live the life that she wanted to live. And we're lucky that she came to Florida to be our first minister. All right? We will now sing the children out. If we could form a bridge.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Good morning. I'm Michael Lewis, and I serve on the Board of Trustees. We invite you now into the practice of generosity. It is one of our spiritual values which sustains the life and ministries of the church community. Let us be grateful for the opportunity to give, for it is a privilege to be able to do so. And let us be grateful for the needs we have, for they give us the opportunity to practice receiving. Our Share the Plate recipient for the month of July is Legends Academy. Legends Academy provides a rich learning environment for children using the philosophy of teaching for understanding, which puts students at the epicenter for the instructional and assessment plan. Their philosophy centers on the development of a culturally responsive and safe learning environment with the educational best practices of a K-8 school. Please give generously to support Legends Academy and 1U. The offering will now be collected. Note that you can also give online using the link.
This morning's offertory song acknowledges Eleanor Gordon's leadership role in the Iowa women's suffrage movement. It was written in 1912 and sung to a popular tune at the time, which was called Not for Joseph. And we should let you know that the Joe in question is not Joe Biden. I've been down to Washington to see the folks and sights. You'd laugh, I'm sure, to hear them talk about the women's rights. Now it's just as plain as my old hat, that's plain as plain can be, that if the women want the vote, they'll get no help from me. Not from Joe, not from Joe, if he knows it, not from Joseph, no, 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 not from Joe, not from me, I tell you so.
Say, friend Joseph, why not we should vote the same as you? Are there no problems in the state that need our wisdom too? We must pay our taxes same as you, as citizens be true. And if some wicked thing we'll do, to jail we're sent by you. Yes, yes, we are same as you, and you know it, don't you, Joseph? Yes, you do. Yes, you boast you'll not help us win the vote.
But, dear woman, can't you see your home is your true sphere? Just think of going to the polls perhaps 2 times a year. You're wasting time you ought to use in sewing and at work. Your home neglected all those hours. Would you such duty shirk? Help from Joe, if he knows it, not from Joseph, no, 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 not from Joe, not from me, I tell you so.
Joseph, tell us something new. through, we're tired of that old song. We'll sew the seams and cook the meals. To vote won't take us long. We'll help clean the house, that one too large for man to clean alone. The state and nation, don't you see, when we the vote have won? Yes, yes we will, and you'll help, for you'll need our help, friend Joseph, yes you will, when we're in, so you'd better help us win.
You're just right, how blind I've been, I ne'er had seen it thus. It's true that taxes you must pay without a word or fuss. You are subject to the laws men made, and yet no word or note can you sing out where it will count if you will win the vote.
Thank you, Joe, thank you, Joe.
We'll together soon be voters, yes we will, if you'll all vote yes at the polls next fall.
Thank you, Joe, thank you, Joe.
We'll together soon be voters, yes we will, if you'll all vote yes at the polls next fall.
Let us joyfully receive what is offered here today in the spirit of gratitude and fellowship.
This is the time we set aside for deep sharing of our hearts and for prayer and meditation. If you have a sorrow that you need witnessed or helped with, or have a joy that you wish to share, please contribute to our collective sharing of joys and sorrows to be read each Sunday during worship. You can send an email to joysandsorrows@orlandouu.org during the week. If you're attending in person, you can also fill out a card at the registration table and hand it to an usher at the start of the service. And after the meditation, we're not doing our candle service, are we? No. Ignore that part. Bring your joys and your sorrows as we come together. Come as you are. Your whole self is welcome in this sacred space that we are creating together. The first one is Linnea is having brain aneurysm repair on Tuesday. She invites your good energy and prayers. She will likely be home by Wednesday with Ted and her sons with her. Today's flowers were brought by Joan Nelson and Yvonne Vassal in gratitude for the outpouring of well wishes and support for Yvonne following her recent pulmonary cardiac episode. From Jackie Humphreys, hello, just wanted to say thank you for all the text, meals, phone calls, and cards. Still on the long COVID roller coaster, but have found new protocol that has helped other people, so my fingers are crossed. So grateful for the 1U community and miss seeing everyone. Much love, Jackie. And we have one card. This is best wishes to Emmy for a speedy recovery on her knee and her hand. She fell earlier in this month. She's watching online. We continue to hold our Orlando families in love, our communities with care, and the world with our compassion by acting for justice in all of the small and large ways that will move the arc of justice, and for all the joys and sorrows of this community shared today and for those held close to our hearts. Let's pray, let's celebrate, and send each other healing energy. Now for our meditation this morning, please join me in a metta practice. Metta is a Pali word, which was the language of the Buddha, and it translates as loving kindness. If you're willing, either read the script on the screen or close your eyes. You can repeat the words silently or out loud. Now, in metta practice, we always start with ourselves. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be safe. May I live at ease. Now, next we think of someone that's close to you. This could be a family member, very close friend. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you live at ease. And next we think of a neutral person. This could be an acquaintance. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. And may you live at ease. Now, next we think of someone's a difficult person, someone who's challenging. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you live at ease. Now we extend metta to all beings. May they be happy. May they be healthy. May they be safe. May they live at ease. Thank you. Now introducing our centering hymn. This is by Aubrey and Donnie, as all as God wills.
As all God wills, who wisely heeds to give or to withhold, and knoweth more of all my needs than all my prayers have told. He knoweth that blessings undeserved have marked my erring track, that wheresoe'er my feet have swerved, his chastening turned me back, that more and more a providence of love is understood, making the springs of time and sense one with eternal good, that death seems but a covered way which opens to light, wherein no blinded child can stray beyond the Father's sight. No longer forward, no behind, I look in hope or fear, but grateful take the good I find, the best of now and here. Amen.
Good morning. I am John Hartgering. My reflection this morning is about Eleanor Gordon's journey to ministry. A few years ago, I completed a Wellspring program called Spiritual Ancestors. We began by reading biographies of some well-known Unitarians and Universalists and selected one to discuss to whom we felt a special connection or particularly admired. I am quite sure that if I had read Eleanor Gordon's biography, I would have chosen her as my spiritual ancestor. I particularly admire her process of self-discovery and her determination to be and to live in accordance with who she fiercely believed she was. In 1869, at the age of 17, Eleanor read Sir John Seeley's Ecce Homo, which presented Jesus as a noble human being whose struggles she could identify with. It was a turning point in her life. She said, "The whole New Testament story meant little to me, but on this summer afternoon, an entirely different Jesus came into my horizon. Jesus was a man who had a vision that life was not just to know, it was to do, to be. It meant struggle, self-sacrifice. It meant to have ideals, to suffer, and perhaps to die for them if one were brave and honest." After this, the word ought became part of my vocabulary. Eleanor's greatest hero was the Unitarian minister Theodore Parker, who inspired her first sermon. The passion and courage he showed in taking unpopular positions on social responsibility captured her affection, and her feeling for him had grown and deepened into respect as she matured and gained a real understanding of his message. Parker strengthened her view that religious communities ought to spend less of their time in prayer and more in ethical action. Eleanor's best friend, Mary Safford, had from an early age wanted to be a minister. Under the influence of books she had found in her deceased father's library and supported by her friend Eleanor, Mary moved towards Unitarianism. In 1876, sitting under the old apple tree on the Gordon farm, where they often met, the two young women began to plan their lives as a professional team. In 1879, Mary and Eleanor successfully organized a Unitarian church in Hamilton, Illinois, their hometown on the Mississippi. This was particularly remarkable because there were almost no women ministers anywhere in the country. The success of this church attracted the notice of Jenkin Lloyd Jones, secretary of the Western Unitarian Conference, who in 1880 offered Mary the new Unity Church in Humboldt, a town of 660 people in north-central Iowa. After Eleanor arranged to become principal of the school there, she and Mary were able to continue working in tandem. Eleanor recalled, "But all this time, there had been growing in my own mind a great discontent. I loved to teach, and have always been more of a teacher than a preacher. But I wanted to teach men and women as well as boys and girls. I had never thought I could win a place in the larger school, the church, for I had no gift of oratory and no academic prestige." Eleanor was able to practice sermons and planning services at Humboldt when Mary was away speaking at another new Unitarian church in a nearby town. Although she lacked Mary's striking delivery, Eleanor came to discover that she had her own strength and poise and derived an immense personal satisfaction from her efforts in the pulpit. As the years went by, her perceived academic shortcomings lost its force as well. As Eleanor later recalled, minister after minister would come from the academic centers of the East to serve our Western churches, only to fail, with more or less fatal results for the church. Some were too spiritually oriented to look after the business affairs of the church. This always meant failure. Others had no interest outside of the libraries. The minister's work for them was to prepare a more or less original sermon for Sunday morning. And yet they were bored with Sunday school and the parish calls. After her success in Humboldt, Mary was called to Sioux City in 1885. Eleanor came with her as a parish assistant and housekeeper on condition that she would be allowed time every day to study. But Eleanor tells us, as the days went by, the old discontent kept coming to make me restless and unhappy. I was tired of being jack of all trades, good at none. Jenkin Lloyd-Jones was coming to town. I decided I would talk to him. I met him at the station. We walked to the home of his hostess. I told my little story, my ambitions, my doubts. All came out in a blundering, hesitant voice. It took time. We were at the door. I rang the bell and heard the approaching footsteps within. The door opened. Mr. Jones then turned to me and said, "You can, if you will." In the busy days of his visit, there was no opportunity for further conversation. But from that night until the night of my ordination, the words, "You can, if you will," were ever with me, making dark places light, crooked places straight. Eleanor was ordained on May 8th, 1889. Her ordination was celebrated at the Sioux City Church that she had helped to grow into a large, successful congregation. Eleanor went on to serve churches in Iowa City, in Burlington, Iowa, Fargo, North Dakota, and Des Moines before her final ministry with us here in Orlando. In addition, she was an active member, an active mentor to aspiring women ministers as a member of the Iowa Sisterhood and a leader of the Iowa Unitarian Association. Despite her accomplishments as a woman minister, Eleanor knew women faced an uphill battle in the ministry. As she wrote years later, "I could not forget with what holy horror women who was, many of these Unitarian ministers looked at women who aspired to the sacred office." This was 40 years ago, but the woman minister is still a debatable question. I wondered, why? Among the strong reasons for there not being more women in the pulpit was the opposition of the women members themselves. Another is that the communities at large often fail to recognize her ministerial position. Again and again, where a man in like position would be recognized officially in the philanthropic and social activities of a city, the woman was ignored. Finally, there seemed to be an assumption that the profession is essentially a masculine one, that the feminine element is an exception, a freak, something to be apologized for rather than taken for granted. This fact plays havoc with a spirit of real fellowship. Eleanor was frustrated for her entire adult life with the attitude towards women as ministers and as it reflected social attitudes towards women more generally. She was very active in the women's suffrage movement in Iowa. She was president of the Iowa Equal Suffrage Association for 2 years and worked to secure women's right to vote in local elections during her tenure. In 1904, she wrote an article, "Just Like a Woman," which included the following: "A woman of the 20th century is a part and parcel of a great awakening, the renaissance of social and spiritual freedom. What is necessary if she is to rise to meet the occasion? In her training, in the home, and in the school, She should learn the things that will enable her to be strong physically, morally, and mentally. Not strong for a woman, but strong. Not wise for a woman, but as wise as it is possible for a human mind to become. Not good alone in the womanly virtues of faith and love and hope, but strong in business integrity, in truth-telling, and in the sense of justice.
Thank you, John. Good morning. I'm Mike Haddad, and I'm here to take you to a wedding. Last month, our daughter Michelle was married in a service at the Atlanta Botanical Gardens, and yeah, this was my attire. So it isn't surprising that I found myself attracted to a beautiful wedding service script that Eleanor Gordon wrote. It is liberal, traditional, spiritual, and wise. I will read it to you so that you may hear firsthand Reverend Gordon's words and form your own impressions of her character and intellect. She begins with a romantic poem. I dreamed of paradise, and still, though sun lay soft on valley and hill, and trees were green and rivers bright, the one dear thing that made delight, by sun or stars or Eden weather, was just that we two were together. I dreamed of heaven and God was near. The angels trod the shining sphere, and each was beautiful. The days were choral work, were choral praise. And yet, in heaven's fair shining weather, the best was still we are together. I woke and found that my dream was true, the happy dream of me and you. For Eden, heaven, no need to roam. The foretaste of it all is home, where you and I, through this world's weather, still work and thank and praise together. Together greet life's solemn real. Together own one glad ideal, and hope one hope in a new world weather, to still go on and go together. Drawing from the poem, she establishes the spiritual meaning of the occasion. She says, it is this thought of being together, of planning together, all the future days that makes this a sacred moment for you both. And then putting on her teacher hat, she gives some guidance. But in the joy of this thought, I urge you to remember that together implies the union of two wills, two personalities, and from these seemingly inharmonious factors is to come true marriage. The service in which we engage today is but a symbol of the real love marriage, which the church may bless and the state make legal, but neither can create or annul. If yours be a true marriage, here must be a concession of each to the other and of both to the noblest ends of life. She continues with the vows and the exchange of rings. Believing it is in such a spirit as this that you have come to this hour, I ask you in the presence of these witnesses to pledge your mutual vows. Do you each take the other as your nearest and dearest friend? Do you promise to be loyal and true to each other? And in sickness and in health, in adversity and prosperity, to love and honor and cherish each other as long as you both shall live. Do you so promise? And here the rings are exchanged. Receiving these words as your mutual vows, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the state, and in the name of the loving Father and Mother of us all, I pronounce you man and wife. And finally, she ends with this prayer. infinite and eternal Spirit, with hearts full of courage and hope, we ask thy blessing upon these children who, with clasped hands, have given their mutual pledge of love and fidelity. We ask not that there may be all sunshine, but we earnestly pray that their devotion to each other and their devotion to the highest and best in life may lead them to be brave and true, not only in the days of shadow, but also in the days of sunshine, not only in failure, but also in success, not only in the time of sorrow, but also when joy is supreme. With united hearts and with souls full of courage, may they greet life's joys and bear its burdens. When the day of life is ended, when, like children, they turn their faces homeward, may the love that has been the glory of life on earth be, in that hour, their joy and inspiration. And now, may the Lord bless thee and keep thee. May the Lord make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. May the Lord lift up the light of his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. Amen. Thank you.
If there are couples here, maybe your vows have been renewed this morning through that ceremony. Thank you, Mike. I'm Ken Lofgren, and I'm going to just say a few words about Eleanor Gordon's time at this First Unitarian Church of Orlando. Well, what brought Eleanor Gordon, this experienced, talented Midwestern minister, to Orlando? Eleanor recalled that she first heard of Orlando in 1893, and that to her it seemed as remote and foreign as Japan. But that changed in 1908, when Eleanor's close friend Caroline Gore moved to Orlando. Caroline Gore was a longtime Unitarian whose friendship with Eleanor started over 20 years earlier when Eleanor was minister in Sioux City. Eleanor Gordon visited Caroline Gore here in Orlando in the winter of 1910-1911. As Eleanor recalled, one day early in January 1911, Mrs. Gore with much feeling spoke of how much she missed her Unitarian church. It was the one thing lacking in her otherwise beautiful Florida home. "Why not have at least one service while I'm here?" I asked. "Would you be willing to preach if I made the arrangements?" she asked eagerly. "I always have sermons with me," I replied. The meeting was held at 11 o'clock, Sunday morning, January 8th, 1911. The service was held in the library of the Gore home. 17 were present. On February 21st, 1912, First Unitarian Church of Orlando was founded. On March 16th, 1913, the congregation's first church building, Unity Chapel, was dedicated. It was located on Lake Eola. Eleanor wrote, "I shall never forget how fine in every way the chapel was on that March morning. It had rained all the morning, and the weather was cool enough to give excuse for the bright wood fire in the fireplace. Across the road on the west was an orange grove in full bloom. No stately service in cathedral ever meant more to the assembled worshipers than our simple service meant to us." Eleanor Gordon was the minister of our church from 1912 to 1918. During that time, despite setbacks, the congregation grew stronger and developed an impressive array of programs: religious education, a poetry group, lectures, and discussions. Two things you may not have known about those early years. First, at the meeting when the congregation was founded in early 1912, Eleanor Gordon and her longtime friend Mary Safford both expected to be named as minister. Let's just say it was a drama-filled congregational meeting. Second, attempts were made to start a congregation in Sanford, but to no avail. Eleanor wrote, If I could have had the strong backing in Sanford that I had in Orlando, something might have been accomplished. The lay leaders in Sanford were not aggressive and did not understand missionary methods. They belonged to the familiar so-called liberals who claim that the Unitarian gospel is for the chosen few. In Sanford, there were but few of the chosen few. Hence, it was foolish to attempt anything permanent. So for a while, she was taking the train, doing a service here, taking the train up to Sanford in the afternoon to lead another service. Years later, Eleanor Gordon recalled her time in Orlando. This record of 7 years of Unity Church is like the record of a life. It is in turn hopeful, despondent, confident, and doubtful. My journal has many references to cordial words of appreciation. Also, many times the pages are clouded by the sentence, "I am utterly, absolutely, altogether discouraged." But no matter how dark the outlook, never for one moment did I lose faith in the ultimate success of Unity Church. Never for a moment did I question the belief that Orlando was destined to be one of the large cities of the South, and as such, it was important that a liberal religious center should be established there. No matter how hard the struggle, we knew we must hold on. We never could have done this if at any time certain loyal men and women had lost faith. Eleanor Gordon left our church and retired from the ministry in 1918. Why did she retire? Well, she was 66 years old, and she was eager to return to her hometown of Hamilton, where all 5 of her siblings still lived. Retiring became more urgent when Sister Agnes's health declined. Agnes would die in early 1919. There was another complicating factor. Eleanor Gordon wanted to be sure that the Orlando church would be in good hands after she left. The problem was that the Great War, World War I, was taking place, and many Unitarian ministers were serving as chaplains in the army. There was a shortage of ministers. It was a difficult process to find the next minister for our church. But by late 1918, Eleanor Gordon's successor, George Badger, was found. Eleanor was now free to retire to Hamilton, living there until 1942, where she died at age 89. During those years, Eleanor Gordon remained active in the Unitarian movement and in the lives of family and friends. There is much more to tell you about Eleanor Gordon's story. You can find out more by coming to an upcoming adult RE class, as noted in your handout when you came in this morning, either next Sunday and the Sunday after, or on Wednesday night. Now please rise, embody your spirit, and join in singing our closing hymn, Servants of Truth.
Life's empty noises, heard the solemn steps of time, and the low mysterious voices of another clime. Early hath coming.
Our closing words are from Theodore Parker, 19th century Unitarian minister. Be ours a religion which, like sunshine, goes everywhere. Its temple, all space. Its shrine, the good heart. Its creed, all truth. Its ritual, works of love. Its profession of faith, divine living. Eleanor Gordon was committed to spreading Unitarianism and teaching Unitarian values. Now, our Religious Education Committee can use your help in making One U's Lifespan Religious Enrichment Program a success. Fresh perspectives are needed. Your perspective is needed. Today's call to action is to stop by the RE Committee's tables in Gore Hall after church to learn more about the programs planned for children, youth, and adults, and to see how you might be able to help. Thanks.
Please say these words with me as we extinguish this flame. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.